A lot of time we've blamed God of our present circumstances or of what we are passing through, but we have failed to, sit down and ask ourselves some few questions if what we are doing or if the life we are living is aligned with God. If you will sit down to ask people today about their dream life or about what they actually wanted to become in life, you will discover that I think out of 100%, will have about 90% not becoming what they actually dream for. It is actually good to dream big. I am not saying it's not good to dream big. It is actually good to dream big. Now, for you to be useful to God and to the society, it is you becoming who God created you to be. For you to fulfill purpose is to become who God created you to be. So if you find yourself not excelling or not succeeding in some kind of things you dream to achieve or become in life, sit down and ask yourself few questions about the purpose to which you're living. Number one, have you sit down to ask yourself, why were you created by God? So if God allowing me to become, for instance, a teacher or let me say a nurse, will not permit me to fulfill his plans for me, of course, in my struggles and in my journey of becoming a nurse, there will be obstacles, there will be struggles, and there will be challenges that I will feel maybe is people from my father's house or from my mother's, I mean, altars or wicked people or, I mean, Ogbanji or me. But the thing is, I failed to sit down and ask myself question if what I am desiring to become in life is aligned with the will of God. That is very, very important. But most of us, we have failed to become who God wants us to be. We've used our hand to sign, a signature of not excelling and becoming useful in life by pursuing and trying to chase what God have not destined of us to be. A lot of people have failed. A lot of people have been through situations that they felt God is not in existence. Why we are living? Do you know why you are living? Do you know why you are created? Have you sit down and asked yourself question, why am I still living? There are people who are more righteous, who are more holier, who are more important, who are more richer than I am. They are no more. But why am I still living? Why did God decided to fight my battles? I mean, sickness that killed people, sickness that made people cripple, sickness that made people, not becoming useful maybe happen with me, but God decided to deliver me or heal me from that affliction. Have you ever sit down to ask yourself question why God did that? In our journey of life, a lot of people dream to become nurse, doctors, teachers, lawyers, a lot of mention them. But they tend to go, they refuse to seek for the will of God. They refuse to, ask God if that is aligned with his plan or purpose for them. Because the Bible made us to understand that even before you were formed in your mother's womb, He knew you. He created you to become an instrument of use in His hand, an instrument of honor, right? There are thousands of people out there. It does not necessarily mean that you must be a preacher. I mean, you must stand in the pulpit to pray or to preach the gospel. But there are different ways that God can use you, you know, to help people. He can use you to make or meet the needs of people. Different diverse ways. I mean, diverse ways. God does that. So if things are not working the way you plan it, I want you to sit down and ask yourself question. If that is the will of God, I mean, what you are pursuing right now. If you're dreaming to become a nurse and God is desiring you to become a teacher, of course, your journey of becoming a nurse, there will be struggles and there will be challenges. Of course, definitely, because that is not his plan or purpose for you. You might find yourself in that place of assignment. You might find yourself in where you're struggling to be. You might struggle and struggle your way out of that thing. But I am telling you, you might not enjoy it. But when you allow yourself to go the will of God, I mean, when you allow the will of God to prevail in your life, you are going to definitely achieve the goals. You are going to become who God wants you to be. You're going to be happy and live a joyful life. Sometimes people feel the rich people are the one that God loved or favor, but no. Sometimes when you sit down, ask yourself question, and you are being sincere with yourself, you will discover that you are the cause of your problem. Why? Because you refuse to allow yourself to be used by God. You are supposed to be used and be useful to God and to the society, but you refuse to do that. You choose to go your own way. You choose to please yourself than pleasing your creator. Now, in the quest of meeting your own desires or your aim in life, you will discover that the plans of God will be hindered, because there are a lot of people, whether in your family members, within your community, within the country or the nation at large, that one thing, it is you that God have deposited inside of you, that special thing, that unique thing that God have put inside of you to use you to meet the needs of people. And then you refuse, you are deliberate about it, that you are not going to do that thing that God have called you to do. You will do your own will. You will become the doctor or the nurse you want to be because you feel they pay well there. When you go there, you will end up being stranded. Things will not just work the way you want it, because the will of God should be what we as individual uh should run after or yearn to become or yearn to fulfill in life. So another point is, you not becoming who God wants you to be. Point number one, I talked about you yourself might be the cause, right? By not allowing the will of God to prevail, you're just going your own way, of course. And I said your own way might not make you fulfill that thing. Or even though you insist and struggle out of that thing, you might not have joy, you might not find peace in it. Now, point number two is also to check the background you're coming out from. A lot of people's life were cut short. A lot of people's dreams were cut short, not fulfilling what God have created them to be because of their family backgrounds. I've told people, I said, there are negative patterns and there are positive patterns. From your lineage, there are, forefathers, I mean your great grandparents, have gone before altars. All right, they have took an oath, they have went into covenant, of trying to say they want to protect the family, they want to prevent the family from being hurt. There are so many reasons, like kind of excuses that our forefathers would give, that make them to go before altars to bow, you know to pour blood or shed blood before those altars, before that shrine. They pour blood, they pour all these native wine and all those sort of things. They sacrifice gold, they sacrifice a lot of things. Some families or some altars even human blood or even virgins, just to see that uh family are being protected or some kind of things. And then along the line you will now discover that uh you as an individual, that a covenant was made because of you, because as they are making the covenant or going into the covenant, they are pronouncing first to fifth generation or to seventh or to whatever generation, or the entire generation will be coming back to pay them homage, or they'll be coming back to serve them. And then you got to a point where you accept Jesus Christ. I mean, you choose to have a religion, you not just a religion, but you choose to serve God. Of course, that altar will rise against you. Those altars will rise up against you because you have been let me say you've been submitted, you've been ordained, or you've been handed over to a deity. You've been sacrificed to a deity, and then the life you be living now, the devil will want you to be living for him. But when you choose not to live for the devil, my dear, you have to be ready for battles. And that is why you could hear some men of God said they go to the extent of fasting and fasting and fasting, just to see that a family pattern or a family negative pattern or cycle is being broken. Yes, if those patterns are not broken, of course, the legal access that have been given to them by the by the covenant that your forefathers have taken, will rise up to fight against you. Now, if you're talking about you're not a Christian, that is not just enough for you to be saved from those patterns that fight people's destiny or that limit people in your family. It is not just enough. What will make it enough is the understanding you have about the God you serve, understanding the word of God, understanding the power of God, understanding the power behind the blood that was shed on the cross of Calvary for your sake and for my sake. When you don't know about that, I am sorry, those altars, those foundations will still rise up against you. Even if you have arisen or you've gone to the level of becoming a servant or used by God, those altars will still rise up to fight against you. But when you are ready, or when you realize that there are patterns rather in your father's house or from your lineage or from your mother's house, or there are covenants that people have entered as a result of keeping the family or trying to protect the family, that is rising up to fight against people. You as an individual, for you to fulfill purpose and become useful to the kingdom, you have to rise up and stand in the gap of prayer. You have to rise up and stand in the gap. You have to rise up and become the watchman that God is looking for. Because they have done that, remember Jesus Christ happened to be the one man who came to save the whole world. You can be the one person that will stand in the gap to fight for your own family. All right? You can choose to be the one to rise up to fight against every pattern or satanic patterns or negative delays or whatever that's happening in your family. There are different patterns that people are struggling with today. Your own might be patterns of sickness, diabetes, hepatitis, bloodline. When you go to hospital, you hear that they'll say it's a bloodline, something like it has been happening to people, and then it is now your turn. Their family or their own is issue of divorce. They will start marriage, and before you know, they are talking about divorce. They are going out of the marriage because they're just like that. Sometimes just like that. Not even there's not even issue, but their ways will not just be okay again. All right, and then you see a woman crying, "I'm going out," or a man saying, "I'm not doing again." If you find out from the root, you discover that it has been in existence for years. It has happened to a lot of people. It has happened to so many people. And for you to be saved, remember I said, you have to understand the power of God, understand the word of God, understand the legal blood of Jesus, the power behind that blood that was shed for you on the cross of Calvary. Then you see yourself being saved. A lot of people just go into fasting and prayer blindly, praying blindly, like praying just prayer point without knowing the cause of their problem. Now, if you want to be saved, you have to solve it from the roots. You have to handle that issue, handle it from the roots. Now, another point I want us to look at is you yourself might be the cause of your problem. Sin. The Bible said, live a righteous life, a life that will glorify God. Your body is His temple. As a single person, you felt, since other people are going to pleasure of sexual whatever, you go into it. While you know where you're coming out from and you know where you're going, you know what you want to become, right? So these are some of the things that fight people's destiny. These are some of the things that prevent people from becoming what God have destined of them to be. God is so faithful and loving that He would allow you to go through some certain pains or what cycles in life. But it takes your understanding to become who God have created you to be. Remember I said your own wisdom and strength of trying to becoming who you want to be might not solve it. Even though you become it, you might not have peace. You might not have joy in it. You might not fulfill purpose or plans of God concerning your life. And the Bible said your work or your works on earth will be tested with fire. It means you're sent on earth to do some works, right? Now, when you refuse to go do those works, you've decided to do your own work, God will ask you on the last day. A lady told me a story. She has been, trusting God for God's help, and then the whole lot of things was not working. Now, there are people that have reached 40 years in their families, and there are about 3 to 4 of them that are not still married. If you ask them, they will tell you even their aunties or their had issues of marriage, there is a gateman, I mean a gatekeeper. There is an ancient door that will stand until you have access. All right, you have the access until God open, give you the access, give you the key to open those doors. A gatekeeper, a negative gatekeeper that will stand to fight people's destiny. The moment you're rising, there are people that finish their, you know, they have BSc, they have finished their degree, they have finished masters. Some have reached a particular point in education, or let me say age, and then nothing is just working for them. It becomes a family problem. Nobody is progressing. Sometimes when people are about to progress, they bring them down. If you are not dead, they turn you to something else. So there are a lot of things happening in families. There are people that their own is issue of anger. They have gone to dedicate them to all these there are cultures that dedicate children to rivers. Immediately the child is given birth to, they take the child to the river to go dedicate them. You discover that the riverine, whatever, Marie will be following the person. When you want to marry, they will wake up and say they are not the husband, they are not the wife, that you cannot leave them to marry another person because you have given birth to children for them. Jesus, things are happening. It is high time for you, to realize that, forces or cycles or patterns are fighting people. Altars from your foundation is fighting you the moment you be safe. How about the wand of, not becoming useful in life? There are so many patterns. Are you ready to break out of that pattern? Are you ready to break out of that pattern? Are you ready to be safe? When you are safe, others will be saved. I always told people, I said, when I grew up, I discovered there is a pattern of lack of marrying rightly. And I wake up, I say, no, this pattern must be broken. This is not just happening. And then I stood in the place of prayer, even though it was not easy. The person we were dating with, that I said in the other video, that I was trying to share a story with, there was no issue, but all of a sudden the father said no. And he was trying to, like, we should force the marriage, meaning I should go the way other people are going. And I say, wow, so this is real. Because my eyes were open, I stood and I said, no, I am on a journey of breaking a satanic and demonic pattern that will not let people marry in the right way in my father's house. And that, to God be the glory, God gave me victory. The moment I married, the year that followed, people begin to marry rightly. I mean, they marry rightly, they come to pay their dowry and they do the right thing. That is what I am talking about. If God save you, it's for others to be saved. If you are rich today, it's for other people to also benefit from it. So whatever you have, I've always told people, I said, if you feel it is your own strength or wisdom that's giving you what you want, that is it, no problem. But all these things that you're thinking, if you share or give to another, like, there are a lot of things happening. All those ones might be as a result of negative pattern that the family is facing. So can't you arise, or won't you arise and run to God, and He will take the lead? You will be saved from that satanic pattern of sickness, of afflictions, of pain, whatever it is. God in His mercy is worthy and faithful to save you, so that others will be saved in your family. Believe. Do well to share this video, subscribe, and like. See you in the next one. Don't forget to comment too. Bye.